Hi, I'm Adam Meyer of Mill City Lutherie in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And in this video, we have a Gibson Acoustic with some pickup problems. There's uneven output. The high E string is not coming through on the undersaddle pickup. So I'm going to show you how I go about diagnosing and correcting the problem. Pretty dramatic. Got the strings taken off, so let's see what we have inside here. Well, first warning sign is that saddle doesn't want to pull out. Get a fret puller. Oh, it comes out. Just needs a little bit more. A little more oomph to get it out of there. So, I'm familiar with these. This is an LR Bags, but I believe I see the problem already. Okay, I'm going to use the marker board here to explain the problem with this guitar. The element that's in there is an LR Bags. So with their pickup, the very end of it, I don't know, maybe like it's a ½ inch or so, doesn't have an active pickup in it. It's just the braided shielding, and it's kind of soldered off there just to kind of finish off the unit. So the idea is you're supposed to have a hole on either side of the saddle slot where you feed the pickup up through the inside and then down back in on the other end. This last little bit here doesn't track anything. There's no pickup in it, so you want it down inside the guitar. The problem with this install is it was backed up kind of like that. So this here is the dead part of the pickup. So where your E and B strings are, it's just not tracking anything. So that's what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to rebuild this saddle slide. We've got some holes that are in the wrong spot, so we'll fill them, then re-drill and put this in correctly. We've got a bunch of shims here underneath the saddle. This is just too much shimming. And there's also a shim glued to the bottom of this saddle. So I decided to draw some illustrations here. I can't figure out how to do this on computers. Hopefully follow you what I'm trying to explain here. The blue line represents cross-section of an acoustic bridge. The black is the saddle sitting down in the slot. So what we have here at the top, you notice that we've got the bottom of the saddle slot is nice and flat. The bottom of the actual saddle is nice and flat as well. That is the ideal. Then when you have your pickup element in there, you're getting even pressure all the way across it. Now, sometimes the most common issue, if you have a pickup that's not picking up all the strings with your even output, you'll have your bridge, the saddle slot is nice and flat at the bottom, but the bottom of the saddle isn't even. So I've made this little wavy line here. Usually it's just like, most of the time when I notice it's kind of curved more towards the middle. The ends of the slot, the saddle aren't actually touching, but it could be all sorts of variations of that. Now the least common issue, which is what I suspected on this guitar, but it turned out not to be, and also this is the reason why I did the routing of the saddle slot, is if the actual wood in the bridge isn't even. Like if you got a little lump here or a dip here, even if you have the saddle made perfectly flat and square, you'll have an area under here that won't have that even pressure. You may not get the transfer of the string pressure on the element, and you may not get output from that area of the pickup. All right, so here's a real close-up shot of the hole that I'm going to be plugging. I'm just got a little piece of dowel. We'll glue that in there. Then we're going to move forward with rerouting the bottom of the saddle slot, so we have a nice even surface all the way across. All right, let's go over the options for replacing the saddle. This is the original one. You can see it's like before, it has the shim glued onto it. I believe this is micarta. It could be graphite, but I have micarta blank. This is synthetic. It's everything about it is consistent throughout. So this makes a nice saddle. These are commonly on Martin guitars, but they can end up on other brands as well. We have Corian. Corian's used a lot of times as nuts on various guitars. I'm not a big fan of Corian. Relative to the other saddle types, it's kind of soft. It is hard, but what I mean is it's not as hard as micarta, bone, or whatever. We have a bone saddle here. This is unbleached. Bone is fine. Most of the time it'll be just fine, but being that it's organic, it does have hard and soft spots to it. So you can end up with an uneven volume, inconsistencies in the volume from string to string. So generally, when you have a piso pickup, you want to use something synthetic. But sometimes if you really want a bone saddle, it'll be fine. A lot of times, we have problems. This one's warped. So you got to be careful with how you choose these. You can see how this side it's gapped. This side it's curving away from the ruler. And then there's also tusk or other various types of graphite saddles. These are really nice. I'm going to be going and just make one from scratch, kind of for the video, just to kind of show off a little. But these are very consistent. They're commonly used when you have a pickup, and yeah, they work out really nice as well. See if I can do this with the camera phone on the tripod. I'm using my machinist square. You can see I've got that nice and perfectly flat. There's no light shining through anywhere there. All right, gonna see if I can give you a little bit of a visualization here of like the perfect fit. The saddle slides in and out easily, goes all the way down. You do not feel it catch. There's no rubbing sound or anything. It slides out easily, and it does not wiggle. It is in there, fit both this way, and it just slips in and out. Or imagine that, this is your bridge pin, strings are going through here. This is your saddle slot, the soundboard is over here, the neck is that way. So strings come up, go over that way. Another reasons why you need to be careful or be thorough when you're doing this stuff. When you have your saddle slot nice and square, you have your pickup element in here, you want for the saddle to fit in nice and perfect. Not tight, not loose. If you have the strings off, you should be able to pull it out, but it also should not wiggle back and forth. And I gotta stress like a lot, because I see people putting this online everywhere. You should never force your saddle down into the saddle slot, especially if there's a pickup. It can bind up before it gets down and actually presses on the piso, so you're going to end up with output issues. Plus, you're not supposed to force them in. That can cause pressure this way, and you can have your bridge crack somewhere down the road. Also, if you want to adjust your action, you need to take the saddle down. If it's jammed in there, it's really hard to pull it out. You can end up breaking the saddle just trying to do a setup on the guitar. So make sure that it fits. When I say fit, it means it slides in, no wiggle room, there's no forcing it in. If you're paying someone to make you a saddle or do a pickup install, and they're charging you a fair amount, then they need to be spending the time to do it right, like I'm explaining here. So we got there you have it. Guitar sounds great. Everything's fixed. Now, when you get right down to it, the incorrect pickup installation was probably the cause of the uneven output. But when I find all these other issues, you just got to fix them along the way. You don't want to correct the pickup installation, then put all those shims back in and have a saddle that doesn't fit right. And then you got to take the guitar apart again and, take care of the saddle. Just do it all at once, do a clean job correctly, and, the customer's happy with what they've got. So if you have any questions about this video or any of the others in my library, my contact information is in the About section, and we'll see you next time.